Three, two, one, correct. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you know that sound means it's time for another episode of A Beer in Review.
So pour it high and let it gleam. This is the podcast, Sip and Dream. Stay for the fun, we've got more to do. Oh yeah, it's A Beer in Review.
That is right. Welcome one, welcome all to episode 129 of A Beer in Review. I'm your host this week, Lane Good, and I am joined by my co-hostess with the mostest, Luke Walker.
What's up, dude?
Not a whole lot. Just a two-man show this evening. Just me and you, the Bald Brothers. How are you this evening, my friend? Oh, wait, hold on. Before I don't care really how you are. What I do care about is our ceremonial swig. So, ladies and gentlemen, everyone out there listening, enjoy a sip of your lovely beverage. Cheers.
Cheers. I thought you might count down from 8.
Because they've got 8 legs.
Yeah, you get it.
That makes sense. Yeah. Okay, I see what's going on here.
Yeah.
Well, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 crack. There we go.
There we go.
I'm doing great. Welcome to episode 129 of A Beer in Review. This week we are reviewing SeaQuench ale with lime. It's what we just had our ceremonial swig of out of Dogfish Head, and we reviewed Remarkably Beautiful Creatures, the 2025 flick, heavily featuring a octopus.
Yeah,
look at that.
Definitely. Remarkably Bright Creatures. It's a
different movie. That's a different word. Okay, well, they're beautiful and bright.
They're not beautiful. They are hideous, but they are bright.
They are
and
bright.
I guess really maybe we're referring to humans there with that. So some of them are beautiful, especially the bald ones. So cheers.
Cheers to that. Well, before we get into the movie, we start every episode as we always do with a little bit of what you've been watching. So, Lucas, what you been watching, my friend?
I think since our last episode, I don't believe I've watched any films other than this one. I have cranked through another 2 or 3 episodes of Andor season 2. I think I've only got like one more. I'm towards the end. It's so good. It's a great show. Like I would call it the closest thing to like prestige television that the Star Wars world ventures into, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
right. Like you could watch it and not barely know that it's a Star Wars movie, or like you don't have to care about Star Wars or like Star Wars particularly to like understand that it's good television. It's more like politics and that kind of stuff. So it's very good. But I believe that's it.
Nice. Yeah, they're just playing in the Star Wars universe, so maybe I would enjoy it. I have got 2 what's I've been watching. The first is a old school film, Kevin Smith. I watched Dogma with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. I believe they have a sequel coming out here soon in the next year or so. So I prepared myself. Yeah, I prepared myself for that. It was a lot more fun than I remember it being. When I watched it as a kid, and it didn't really make too much sense. It was a good time. I enjoyed it. I got a few laughs. There's some jokes that hold up, maybe some jokes that don't. But overall, it was a fun thing to watch. And then the next one I watched, I was really excited. I went and saw it in theaters with our friend. Was Obsession. It's a Curry Barker, I think is the guy's name. He's one of those YouTube, Instagram. If you're perpetually online, you'd recognize this guy. And it's one of those new renovation of these young, up-and-coming YouTube guys. I think there's like 3 of them. There was the Iron Lung movie with Markiplier. There was this one. And then this Backrooms coming out in about a week. It's like some 20-year-old kid is doing it. So it's kind of this cool, fun, young, hip renaissance in film and in horror. And this wasn't particularly scary. I mean, it was tense. It was fun for sure. It was another one of those movies, kind of like Weapons, where I was laughing out loud and no one else in the theater was, which for me is always a fun experience to look back on, because maybe I'm a little bit crazy, but it was a very fun time. And it was a really good movie.
Yeah, horror is such an interesting genre in general. We don't really do a lot of horror on this podcast, but like it does go through probably the most like definable, like trends, right? Like there's all these different types, like the slashers, and then the creepy kids, and then the like paranormal, and then like it goes through all these phases. Um, and I don't know, you're more of a horror guy than me. You'd know more. Our buddy Bill that you went with, he's a big horror guy, so you guys would probably be able to speak on it better. But like I do notice it from afar, even though I'm not a big horror guy. And I had heard bad things about that movie, but then everything I've heard since that one bad review from one individual who's kind of a dumb idiot, for being perfectly honest, all the other reviews I've heard were great. So I assume it's probably pretty good.
It was pretty good. Nothing that blew my socks off particularly, but that's a different podcast for a different day. But a really good movie. Are you ready to talk Remarkably Bright Creatures?
Yes, I am ready to talk about the Bright Creatures.
I'd love to. Okay, this is directed by Olivia Newman. You may know her from Where the Crawdads Sing, another book adaptation, written by Olivia Newman, John Whittington, and Shelby Van Pelt, who was the author of the novel, starring Sally Fields as Tova Sullivan and Lewis Pullman as Cameron. We're going to spoil the movie here. Sullivan as well.
Spoiler alerts. 6 minutes in.
Yep. PG-13 rating, but they do get a fuck in there, which is always fun to see when they sneak a PG-13. Coming in at 1 hour and 53 minutes. And I have a little section for the awards season. Lucas, do you see any chance, any category that this even whiffs? Maybe an Oscar adapted screenplay? Are we dancing in those waters, or you think we're too early to tell?
I don't know. It's in the part of the season where these are not really Oscar bait movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is a movie that is obviously adapted from a book, as you have alluded to, so that always gives it a chance. I always am skeptical too about these straight to Netflix movies that don't have a theatrical release, don't have like a big presence at the film festivals, right? Because those are really the movies that are like the Oscar movies, are the ones we see at the film festivals that get the 19-minute standing ovations, and then there's a big campaign for them. So I don't know. I would be surprised probably, but I don't know. This is a straight to Netflix movie that I think is going to be a little bit, I don't know, maybe viewed in a different category than a lot of the other Netflix movies that we have been doing recently, because they're easy to watch. But I don't know. We'll get into that a little bit more of kind of where this stands in the pantheon of Netflix, straight to Netflix movies.
Beautiful. Well, before we do, we need to start at the beginning, as we always do. Just like the flick, we're going to jump into Lane Love's first scenes. How are you ready?
I'm ready. This is a big one. This is important. I think this is going to get us into a broader discussion that is very important for this film and deciding how you feel about this film.
Absolutely. And so, as I already spoiled the film, I will give you another spoiler if you have not seen it. The film opens with a questionable main character narrator, Marcellus. And Marcellus is an octopus. And he is talking about his fondness for the bottom of the ocean and the quiet and the life and the critters you can eat. And just, imagine living at the bottom of the ocean, ladies and gentlemen. You'd feel the same way. So he's got this idealized world. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, bang, we realize that he is in an aquarium. He's been there for, I believe, 1,401 days. And it's really funny because when we first see this, it's during a children's field trip. So they are all up on the glass, licking it, picking their nose, typical kid stuff. Luke, if you know anything about that.
Kids are disgusting.
And so it is a very stark difference from the life that he wants to live. And we see that he is trapped, but he does have an affinity for this cleaning lady played by Sally Fields. It's a very interesting opening because, as you mentioned, this octopus, I had no idea what to expect, but this octopus is like a main character and heavily involved in the film, and it's very interesting. I thought it was a good opening, kind of unique. It didn't give us a lot of information really, but if you're going to start your movie with a talking octopus being your narrator, that's at least kind of different and fun.
It is different. It is fun as well. I will concede that it's fun. I didn't know how I felt about it. I still don't really know how I feel about it. So that's why, I'm excited to talk about it. And I knew that this would be one of the first things we talked about. And if it wasn't, I was going to bring it up. But because it's like, on one hand, it's very cheesy and corny and dumb. Like, okay,
Yeah.
this movie's being narrated by this octopus, and like he's giving us all this information that we wouldn't otherwise have, which is kind of, in a sense, is kind of lazy, and I don't know how they do it in the book, right? In books, you are fed information in a much different fashion than you are in movies. But it's weird. It's weird. He's got a cool voice, so that helps. I think octopi are just generally like cool creatures, even though I think they're gross. And I wouldn't want to be within 5 feet of one, but like I think they're very cool. They're very smart. I think that people know that. I think that they have been portrayed in such a way in pop culture. Like there was a documentary it might have won the best documentary at the Oscars not too long ago that was about an octopus and like a guy who was friends with an octopus, a scuba diver guy. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Well, hopefully we can dive into it a little bit more as we discuss, and we can kind of see where you land. Me personally, this movie's different, right? You mentioned it when we just talked about straight to Netflix movies, but I think it's different in a different way. This is like a movie out of the 90s when we grew up. This is just a feel-good movie, right?
Almost like what you would call a Hallmark movie.
Almost. It's very, very close. So to have this kind of fun angle to it where there's this, smarter than us, according to him, octopus is just kind of this weird, silly angle. Would the movie have been as good without it? Probably, maybe even a little bit better. But I'll remember it because of this talking octopus and just how kind of strange and out there that was.
Yeah, without the octopus, it's even more of a Hallmark movie, right?
Sure.
Like this plays on Christmas Eve every year, and it's just like a very low stakes kind of feel goody type movie. The octopus, I don't know. I don't know if it elevates it or if it brings it down. Like I just don't know how I feel about the octopus. It does make it feel like he is definitely, he feels above, right? He feels like this kind of almost godly type character, which I don't know. I guess that lends the movie some weight. And I found myself like wanting to craft like a take where I'm shitting on the octopus involvement in the movie, but then throughout the movie I'm like, the octopus kind of makes sense. He's kind of tying this together. He's playing a pretty important part of this.
Yeah, even though he's not really tying them together because it's not like he introduced them, you know what I mean? But
they go through long stretches of the movie where the octopus is not involved at all. And those parts of the movie are maybe the better parts of the movie, arguably. Yep. I don't know.
So I think we need to start discussing the characters. We went into Marcellus, but we've got a few more that we need to discuss. So we are going to dive into the character draft where we pick a number from 1 to 25, and then we do a little snake draft of our favorite characters and why we like them. Lucas, I'm feeling nice. Why don't you go first? 1 to 25.
I will go with 17.
I'll go 7.
The number is 11. So you will go first. I will take picks 2 and 3, and you will take 1 and 4.
Beautiful. I will go with Sally Fields's Tova. I love Sally Fields. I always have. We have had Sally Fields in our life for about as long as I can remember. I want to hit you with a little Sally Fields trivia. Do you know what year she received her first acting credit?
She's on the older side. So I'm gonna have to say that unless she was a late bloomer, maybe I'm gonna take just a wild guess, say she was on the late bloomer side, and so that her first acting credit was in 1992.
1965.
Ah, it's the other way. Yeah.
65. She
Yeah.
had Flying Nun was her first big
She's
TV
been
role.
doing it forever is the
Yeah,
answer.
she was in Smokey and the Bandit with Burt Reynolds. And then I think the hot streak for us and why we love her particularly is Homeward Bound. She was the voice of the cat. Miss Doubtfire, amazing movie. And
Yeah.
then Forrest Gump. That was all 93, 93, and 94. And
Right.
she is a two-time Oscar winner in 80 and 85.
There you
And
go.
in this movie particularly, I thought she was just fun and warm-hearted. I think it's one of these movies where Sally Fields kind of just plays herself. You know, at least that's how I imagine it.
Yeah, I can. Yeah,
Sweet lady, and she just really cares about everybody, and everyone loves her. And even though she's whatever, shattered, fractured her ankle, she's still out there helping everybody. And she's got some shit that she's probably should have dealt with 30 years ago. But I don't think therapy is a big thing in this community in her age. But it was a fun character, very loving, very kind. It reminded me of my grandmother, so I think that's what they were going for. So I think they hit it out of the park.
Yeah, she was very grandmotherly. Probably how exactly like you're saying she is as an actual grandmother, if she is a grandmother. It's probably how she is. All right, I will take with the second overall pick and my first pick. I'm going to go with Ethan Mack, played by Colm Meaney. He's the guy who owns the store, and he has this kind of secret crush on Sally Fields, or Sally Fields' character Tova, and he's a deadhead, right? He shows up to the date wearing his finest dead t-shirt that gets wine spilled all over it. He's just a really fun, happy, just a nice presence. And so he's wonderful. Love him. I feel like he's in a bunch of other stuff. He seems like he usually would play like a gangster-y kind of a character.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more angry or threatening.
Yeah, kind of like a guy at the bar that you don't fuck with him, kind of a guy. I don't know. But he's just he's a pretty wonderful character. For my second character, I will take Marcellus.
Nice.
Yeah, like I said, I wanted to not like Marcellus, but I couldn't get there. I did like it. I liked his voice. I probably should know who voices him.
Alfred Molina, Doc Ock.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. I'm a goddamn genius. I didn't do that on purpose, but that's just how good I am at
podcasting, baby.
Yeah, that's podcast magic. He just, I don't know, the things that he's saying are very cool, right? And he is like this mysterious kind of smart, you want to, I don't know, you want to know what is in the mind of an octopus, and I feel like maybe that's what we got. I don't really know what's in the mind of an octopus, but I'm forever in my life now, I'm going to imagine that this is how octopi are thinking
and speaking.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I have to do it. The final pick, I have to go Cameron. I feel like that's what the whole movie is based off of. I do want to just go ahead and shout out two people before I dive into Cameron and actually make my pick. I really like Tanner. He was kind of the store bitch who your guy Ethan was always screaming at. Tanner, go do this. Tanner, go do that. I thought that was fun.
Yeah, he said something really funny about him. He said he's
inept as something. Or
yeah,
he was good.
Basically, he just talked about how horrible an employee is, but he's got to give him a chance. It was a funny line.
And then his name was Tim. He was the opener in the open mic night, who was talking about the girlfriend leaving her boyfriend at work and some kind of just wild, crazy.
That was a tough song.
Yeah, typical open mic night stuff, which is really fun to see always. So I just enjoyed that. But again, I'm picking Cameron. It's a very obvious character arc, but I'd rather watch a movie where the character arc is super obvious and you know what's going to happen instead of there not being a character arc, which we've seen in movies, recently. He's just a kind of a dude who's not lost his way. He's just never really had a way. Never really had a way. Yeah, he's not a has-been. He's a never was. That's not really a good way to describe it. But he's a musician. He's in a band. His car broke down.
Moth Sausage. What a band name.
Sausage. Yeah.
An elite band name.
And the reason he's in this small town is because he's trying to find his biological father, because his biological father is rich and he's going to try and not blackmail him for money, but guilt trip him, or, hey, you owe me money, which is a shitty way to introduce a character. But
Yeah.
as we go, obviously he gets a heart. We learn his story, and it's like I said, this is a feel good. You mentioned it, Hallmark movie, and I'm surprised this is what we went with this week. But as I was watching it, I found myself enjoying it throughout. So Cameron was a big part of that. So I'm going to pick him number 4.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good pick. So that concludes the character draft. But I will just, to address why we watched this movie. Obviously, had a kid about 2 weeks ago. Actually, 2 weeks ago today, and so it's pretty tough for me to get out into the the theaters and see some of the kind of newer movies. So trying to watch some stuff that's on streaming, and I just found this on IMDb's like list of most popular movies right now or whatever. So a lot of people are watching this. It's on Netflix. It's a straight to Netflix movie. I think it was like number 5 on the Netflix rankings or whatever. So, that was why we picked it. Didn't have any idea what it was about, kind of what its feel was going to be. Definitely different than what I thought it was going to be. But, like you mentioned, it's one that a lot of people can enjoy. So
yeah, and that's why we do the podcast too. Is
I
mean, we are started it to do, movies that we wouldn't typically watch. So, not knowing what to expect and hopping in, it was a fun ride. I do want to talk about, we kind of mentioned this a few times, these Netflix movies and these straight to Netflix movies. This one feels, I mean, it's obviously not a super high production budget, I wouldn't think, once we get there, but all the other ones just feel really bad and cheap, and like they're trying to be something that they're not. And like we've said, this kind of just, it knows what it is. It's it's not shooting for the stars. It's shooting for, the lowest level of the atmosphere, whatever it is, you science nerds know. And it's doing like the Katy Perry astronaut thing, where they just kind of float a little bit and they're not really in space. It's kind of like that. But the other movies we watched, like what, Crime 101, Apex, I felt like those were trying to be almost these big blockbuster things, and maybe that's when Netflix loses me. What do you think about these straight to streaming Netflix movies that we've been watching recently?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Those two, right? And The Rip is another one where it's like, man, they're trying to be these more elevated movies, but they're coming short. They're coming up short in a number of significant ways, right? I don't know that we gave super high rankings to any of those movies, and not that they're bad. Like, they all are pretty good. Like, they're the exact kind of movies that Netflix needs, right? You need these kinds of movies on your catalog so that, like, I don't know that people are necessarily signing up for Netflix to watch these types of movies. But if you have a Netflix subscription and you're sitting around on a Friday or Saturday night doing a Netflix and chill type of a situation, these are the kind of things that like are good to have on there. And this one, I think you're kind of nailing it pretty much exactly. Like, this one's not trying to be something more. I think this movie pretty much nailed what it was trying to be, which is just like a fairly low stakes, like feel goody character exploration, right? You mentioned the character arc of Cameron, right? We see some important character arcs. Tova goes through her arc of dealing with the grief of her son, and I don't know, this octopus goes through some sort of a character arc, I suppose. But yeah, I think that as far as the Netflix movies go, they're not great as a general rule, but this one was pretty solid.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I think what they do is they throw a lot of money at a lot of stuff when they could be doing like an A24 route, where they make smaller budget movies, and because like we said, they need bullets. I think maybe making some smaller budget, like we've said, horror is a great way to save some money. Something like this is a great way to save some money. and save those big budget things for maybe things that will actually be good. Okay, let's dive into the story a little bit more here because I think it's important to. We've talked about the characters, but what are they doing? Where are they going?
Yep.
Okay. Sally Fields works in an aquarium with
Hold on.
Marcellus.
One thing I
go
wanted
ahead.
to ask. I did have a
Yeah.
question before we
Hit
get
me with
into
it.
some of your stuff. And maybe they say this, and maybe it's in the book, and maybe I could read about it, but I didn't feel like it because I just wanted to talk about it. Do you know? Did you know just by watching the movie where this movie is located?
I
Like
figured
where
the
these people
PNW,
are?
the Pacific Northwest, somewhere.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Just from the trees, and it's a little maybe
Okay.
coastal North Oregon.
Because did they mention town names?
I
don't
think there is like
remember
a
any
town sign, but I don't think it was
I don't
like.
remember any like specific town names. When I was initially watching it, I was initially thinking we were in like England, just because what's his face Ethan's got a very, I don't know,
Welcome to the
Irishy.
pub.
Yeah, exactly. But then I was I was like, well, no one else has that kind of an accent. But then it also kind of felt like old timey a little bit, like the cop writing the ticket, and then you know her coming in and being like, "Oh, this guy's my friend," basically, and getting him out of the ticket. Like it's just very small towny, which like I don't know. So I just kind of associate that with some of those like English, Irish, Scottish type of small towns. But then I was thinking, okay, no, I do think we're in America, and obviously we've got to be on a coast. So I was thinking, like, I don't know, are we in like Maine or like, but Pacific Northwest, that might be it.
That's what I'm thinking. I got a question for you too before we dive into it. We see a lot of fun sea creatures in this flick. Which sea creature would you want to be? If you're living in the ocean, do you have a preference of what you'd want to be?
I think if you're in the ocean, you want to be at least towards the apex of being a predator.
For sure.
Yeah, because I mean, it's a rough place out there in the ocean, and it's a very much like the food chain. It's a long chain, and if you're at the bottom of that chain, I don't think your life expectancy is too long. I don't think you're doing a lot of cool shit. I think the best sea creature would be like an orca whale.
Yep, that's the answer for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're very, very smart. You live in packs, so you have like some socialization.
You swim for like thousands of miles.
You're just
cool.
swimming all the time. You're hunting in dope ways. You're just like eating anything you want. I don't know if you've read or seen all the stories about the orca whales who like have developed a taste for great white
Human
shark
flesh.
liver.
I think I have heard that.
Yeah. And so they've like figured out that you can paralyze them by flipping them upside down. So then they just like flip these great white sharks upside down, so they're paralyzed, and then eat their liver out and leave the rest of the body just to like you are like that is the most savage but
Fine
also
dining.
badass shit. Yeah, for sure. And then there's all the there's all kinds of documentaries about like their different hunting styles, like where they swim in a line and create a big wave to wash a seal off like a piece of ice. Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
That'd be the way to go. There, an octopus is not like a horrible way to go. I don't know, man. There's like some other ones too. If you did have to be like lower on the food chain, like a sea anemone,
Okay.
you got these like spikes. Like no one's fucking with you. You're just chilling on the bottom of the ocean, like scooping up little fish as they swim by or whatever. It's like there's some okay options. Yeah.
I don't want to be anything that's like stuck to a rock. You know what I mean? I'd like to be.
Well, that's like the sea
kind of
anemone
just
thing,
stuck.
right?
Yeah. So I'd like to be something that at least floats, like maybe like a seahorse.
Okay.
If I'm going to be like lower on the food chain.
Yeah.
Or like even just a jellyfish. That'd be kind of cool.
Jellyfish seems pretty fun.
Stupid as shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is a beer review. Okay. You ready to get into the flick?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So this is the story of these two people who are dealing with tragedies, right? Cameron here is dealing with the fact that his mother has just died. She overdosed in this van, the van that he is driving through town. and his father, we are led to believe, ran out on him at a very young age. And again, he's in the town to collect money from his father, Mr. Simon Burke, maybe.
That doesn't sound right, but Simon
okay,
B.
great.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then God, I forgot
Simon
name.
Banks.
There you go. Sally Field's character, Tova, she is, as we mentioned, dealing with the grief of her husband had died from like a cancer. And then a few months later, very shortly while they're still grieving, she also loses her son in this accident. So, the kid's starting to rebel. He's stealing beer, which stealing beer is a tough move. If you're a teenager listening to this, you're going to get caught. I mean, it's so hard not to see when beers go missing. You know what I mean? So don't do that.
Yeah.
So obviously he gets caught and they're arguing and they're fighting. And because emotions are high, they're grieving, they get in an argument. And he goes out and it seems like it's a night fight, not a day fight. But he goes out and goes for a sail. And I guess the weather was bad and he ends up drowning. And then rumors start swirling the town that maybe he didn't have an accident and drown, that he tied an anchor to the bottom of his foot and jumped off and killed himself.
Tough
grieving.
way to go. Also, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that as well. That's also sad. And so she's dealing with that, and how she's been dealing with it is she's just really shut off from her friends and everybody. And so it's the story of these two finding each other and relying on each other, and Tova teaching Cameron how to do things the right way and meet a woman and just be, as we find out, spoilers, as I mentioned 20 minutes ago, his eventually biological grandmother. Cameron's father was obviously Tova's son, and he was banging some girl and boom, pregnant. And the reason that he quote unquote abandoned Cameron is because he died in that horrible tragic accident, which we find out was for sure not a suicide. Rambled on a little bit there, Luke, but what did you think about kind of that whole twist and turn? I mean, we don't really guess the twists in movies. Were you shocked? Were you invested? What'd you think?
I wouldn't say that I was shocked, but I will say that I didn't really see it coming at any given point. I think that one thing that one reason for that is I sort of was confused on like the timeline of it all. Right. And I guess as I think about it now, like Tova is much older than, she's pretty damn old. Right. I guess she's probably, I don't know how old Sally Field is.
She's 79, turning 80 this year in November.
Okay. So I was going to say, it's like, this is like an older woman. She's certainly in her 70s or 80s. So I guess if she had a son, say she had him at age 25,
which is late back then.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's probably closer to 20. That this guy should be like in his 50s or whatever. And so there was one point in the movie where we learn of a name from, there was like a random chance encounter in a restaurant of somebody who had looked at her house, right? And then he was like, oh yeah, no, I didn't believe what everyone said about your son. We were like supposed to hang out and he was going to bring that girl that he really liked. And for whatever reason, in my mind, I went to the girl at the surf or the paddleboard shop. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh shit, he was hooking up with that girl and her son
is this dude's.
Yeah. But then I'm like a full generation late. Like these guys would have been much older. This accident would have happened way, way longer before that. And so I didn't see it coming until they dropped it on us, there at the end. I was like, man, what is going on with this ring? The eels ring. I was like, this octopus has been talking about how he's got to show them what they're missing, and I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about? Why is this ring important? Like the eels, like how is this octopus gonna like communicate to him, because he can talk to us but he can't talk to them in real life. And so I didn't see any of it coming the whole time. I'm a loser when it comes to figuring this shit out. I'm not a loser, I'm a mark. I'm like the perfect mark for what these movies are trying to do.
Yep, absolutely. And that's I mean that's why we like them. We're along for the ride. And I'm right there with you.
It's
Even
a
when
better
she,
way to watch movies,
yeah, she's like, oh, she pulls the ring out, she's crying, she's like, oh, Marcel. And the way, how many times she calls this octopus Marcellus?
It was
She probably
too
said it
many
like
times.
50 times.
It
Yeah.
is too many times. Yeah.
Yep. And so,
It's a
oh,
like because
Marcellus. Oh,
it's a real it's a name that carries some like weight, right? It's like
yeah.
doesn't just roll off the tongue. It's what, 3 syllables. Like it's you really gotta like commit to saying Marcellus all the time. And she says it so many times.
Yeah. She deserves an award just for that.
Yeah.
And she pulls out the ring and she has put it together in her head, which I don't know how she never recognized the ring beforehand.
Right.
But eels.
Yeah, maybe she hadn't seen the eels part, but I feel like he had told
Maybe.
her or showed her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Eels is like Eric, Lincoln, Sullivan, or whatever. It's a 4-letter
Yeah.
initial for the gentleman's name, who is her son, and obviously, as we mentioned, Cameron's father. And that's what ties it all together. And it's big and it's beautiful. Yeah, that's really all I have to say about all that stuff. I do want to talk about the paddleboard lady.
Yeah.
What did we think about? I mean, I like her as an actress. She was in this show called like Single Drunk Female, which was Kyla and I watched. It was really fun. What did you think about her in the movie?
I would say she's the most underdeveloped part of this movie.
For sure.
Right. If we're crapping on some of these other Netflix movies that don't quite get to like where they are trying to get to, if this movie comes up short in any way, it's in developing her and like their relationship and why we really care, because like kind of one of the big emotional scenes at the end is supposed to be when he goes, because like he had found out that she had a kid and then he like freaked out after their date and just like ran away, right, and kind of blew the whole thing up. And then she's like not really in the movie anymore until the very end when he shows up to tell her like, oh, I really like you. And it's like, yeah, the redemption. And it's like, okay, well,
she would never be down with this.
No, you guys have, and it's like you guys had one date. You barely knew each other before that. You had run into each other once or twice. Like this is just the stakes again. The stakes have not been raised high enough for like anybody to care or believe this.
Yeah.
And I think there was definitely some meat on that bone that they could have, fleshed out that character and that relationship, and why she has this older kid and the dad's not in the picture and how she ended up.
Maybe she's got a haunted past that we need to learn about.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So that was certainly the most underdeveloped aspect of the movie.
Yeah, for sure. And he was basically a creepy asshole from the start. Like, I don't know. I didn't buy the relationship at all. I was like, a woman would never date this dude.
He had a weird style of interaction with
and flirtation and just not great.
Yeah, it's like you could almost see it sometimes where like, okay, it's like, okay, he's got a couple good lines, he's almost like accidentally charming at times, but like he's very abrasive and off-putting and just a dick, at the beginning of the movie. It's like, why would anybody want to do anything nice for this guy? Like, Ethan's letting him sleep in his van in his driveway and trying to get him a job, and Tova's helping him out. It's like, dude, this guy sucks.
Why would anybody he's like, Ethan hooks him up with the mechanic. He's like, man, your mechanic's gouging me. It's like, hey, fuck you, man. I hooked you up with my mechanic.
Yeah. He sucks. I mean, the whole beginning of the movie, it's like this guy is the fucking worst. And obviously that's part of his redemption arc. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. And obviously that is played by, as I mentioned, Lewis Pullman, son of, God, it's not Bill Pullman. What is it? I'm so sorry, world. Pullman, but he's an actor who was in my favorite, gosh darn, yeah, it is Bill Pullman. He was in Independence Day. He was the president. He was in Spaceballs.
Oh yeah, definitely. Know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yep. And you can really see it in this guy's face. And I just think it's interesting. we are getting to the age as 35, 36 year olds that I guess we're both 35, where
We are.
all the actors that we grew up watching, their children are now the actors, right? So this dude, we talked about Jack Quaid when we watched Novocaine. Kurt Russell's son is heavily involved in acting. We have Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you think about kind of this, like we've mentioned, this up and coming generation of actors, and where do you think this guy kind of stands in this? I don't want to call them nepo babies, but these children of actors, influx that we're seeing.
Yeah, I don't know what else really he's been in. Just doing a quick scroll through his
He was
IMDb.
in the new Avenger, or
the
what do they
Thunderbolts.
call it? The Thunderbolts. I think he was the bad guy, or I don't know who he was.
Yeah, was he? Am I seeing that he was in Top Gun Mavericks? That's a pretty good one. That's pretty.
Yeah, I think he might have been one of the background, one of probably the fighter pilot dudes.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so funny. So my wife watches these, especially when she's very freshly postpartum. She watches these really horrible, almost like soap opera-y kind of TV shows. I think we might have talked about this. Like the one she likes is Virgin River.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like a spin-off. It's not even a spin-off. It's just like a complete copycat show called Sullivan's Crossing. And then she was watching one called like Magnolia something. And they're just all the same movie where it's like this horribly written, horribly acted, kind of like modern soap. And at the start of this movie, that's who this guy reminded me of, is like a guy who would be in one of those. I was like, this guy is not a very good actor. He's way, way overdoing, every scene. But as we progress through the movie, much like his character, I think he has some growth and he redeems himself. And I was like, okay, I can get on board with this guy. He's very endearing, right? He's got depth in his eyes. You can see some emotion in his eyes. You always like to see that. I was like, I can see this guy doing some stuff. I can get on board with this guy.
Yeah, I can dig it too. I think he did have some charm and charisma, but I think he also, most of the time, because I think it's charm and charisma because we know he's got a good heart, but it comes off as awkward and goofy. So I think he did a good job of balancing the two. I enjoyed him, and hopefully I see him in some more.
Yeah,
things.
I think overall I did enjoy him as well. I don't know, and maybe that just speaks to how good he was that he was very hateable to start the movie, right? And I think that obviously that's the goal, is to make you not like this guy, and then by the end of the movie you are pulling for this guy. So I think in that respect, maybe he crushed it.
Yep, absolutely. So this movie, as we mentioned, Hallmark movie, it's tugging at your heartstrings. It's a tearjerker. Did it get you?
No, not even
close.
Not even close.
I watched it after a beer or two. It didn't get me, but it got me. I did one of these. I did one of those. I had to do a quick intake,
a short breath. Yeah.
Yeah, just to make sure. They were near. They were knocking, but I held them back.
I mean, I can see it. And the thing is that being a father now, I'm a sap. I am.
Yeah, me too.
I'm the worst, man. I cry watching certain episodes of Bluey, and there's just a specific heartstring that is very easy to pull for me, and this movie has that, which is the loss of a child, right? I think that is just the most unspeakable tragedy that any person could go through, and sometimes as a parent you have these invasive thoughts of laying in bed at 2 a.m. thinking, what if something happens to one of my children, and so that is a tragedy that she goes through in this movie that I can very much understand how it would be just life ruining. But even so, it didn't really get me. It just, even the idea, yeah, definitely the idea of thinking about it and oh man, I get where this woman, her life took a turn, right? Why she is the way that she is. I get that, but it never made me almost cry. I was never there.
I think for me, when it all kind of came together and Cameron finally had a home and she kind of had a reason to stay and someone to take care of her, and it really all just came together.
That all made me just very happy for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I mean, they're not sad tears. They're
yeah, that
wells
was
up
super.
of joy.
Yeah, that was super happy,
Yeah.
but I guess I'm less likely to well up in joy than I am in sorrow. So
Fair.
because it was happy, I don't think I ever. And like, I also, did you feel anything about the octopus dying?
No, I think he did a good job of making it very, very clear that he was on his final legs. And I think, even the owner of the aquarium, Terry, was like, yo, this dude's dying. Like, you can let
Right.
him out. I don't give a shit. It was not
Yeah.
like there was any big
They
security breach.
they explained it a lot of like octopuses get old and then they die. And
Yeah.
this is an old octopus. It's like,
And I
okay,
think, if you're going to have this movie on Netflix and, kids may be watching, I think you need to make it very, very clear. People are very protective of their animals, especially in movies. So I think they did a good job of, hey, this guy's going to die and he's going to die happy in his home
in his
where
home.
he belongs.
I was a little bit surprised how long it actually took to get him to the ocean.
For sure. She was like, are we outside? Can you believe it?
Right.
It was like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, because you kind of did know from pretty early on, eventually she's going to let this octopus out into the sea.
For sure.
Like, that's where he wants to be. That's where he belongs. That's where he should be. She should understand that. Like, he's getting out of his cage every fucking day, basically.
Yeah, right.
Like, he's trying to escape every day. They're finding him by the back door, like every day. Like, let's get this octopus in the ocean. Like, I don't know. Did you ever see Finding Nemo 2?
No.
I think it might have been Finding Dory. It might have been a completely different,
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, but that's a big part of that movie is this octopus like getting out of his cage and crawling through like the aquarium offices and stuff like that. And this kind of reminded me of that. I don't know. Like, it would gross me out. I couldn't touch an octopus. I don't know about you.
I mean, I could eat it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That surprises
some
me.
octopus. Yeah.
You're not a big like adventurous eater.
I think when I'm like traveling, I'm a little bit more open to it. So like if I go to the East Coast and there's like where I was in South Carolina, like, hey, do you want to eat a seafood boil or do you want to eat? I was like, fuck yeah, I do. And so it's good. Do recommend.
Seems gross.
Yeah, it is a little gross. I mean, because you see the little suckers and you're like,
yeah, that I don't want.
I
don't want that.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. And it seems like it'd be chewy.
It is. It's not. It's a good chewy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, people have been eating octopus forever. I guess
smart people.
Yeah, we just had a movie 1 episode ago that eating an octopus was a big plot point.
We tie them all together.
Man, let's go.
Oh, do you think this? I'm watching the movie right now when he does the performance at open mic night.
Yeah.
Pretty terrible, right?
I didn't think that his performance would have, captivated
shut the
audience.
house down. Yeah.
Right. It's like there was the one guy, and by the way, was that?
I thought it was too. David Harbour from
Stranger Things. Stranger Things. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I watched it. I watched it a second time. It's not. It's just a dude who.
Is it not?
The guys with the big. No, it's not. I paused it and made sure because I thought the exact same thing. Big old beard, big deep voice. I thought it was for sure him, but
shut up! I'm trying to listen to the music.
Don't try to listen to this random guy.
Everybody would have just been like, "Shut the fuck up, dude!"
Yeah.
And it's like he was, it's kind of cheating. First of all, at an open mic to play someone else's song, right? Like to play like a popular song of like one of the most popular bands of their
I think
genre.
He put his own. He made it with a little bit less noise, Luke.
Well, because he didn't have the other instruments that are part of a band.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and then his he didn't sing particularly well. I don't know.
No, he sang pretty poorly.
Didn't have a lovely singing voice. I don't know. Yeah, I was, but also again, fun scene, right? It's the kind of scene you like in these kind of movies where he breaks through, right? He connects with Tova. She understands him through the emotion that he puts into the song. And yeah, I liked that scene. It was not good. If I had been in that bar, I'd been like, Jesus Christ.
Shut next.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's interesting because usually when you see this in a movie, as they kind of said they were going for, is that he wanted to perform it for the hot paddleboard girl, Alyssa or something.
Yeah.
But obviously, performing it for Tova has a completely different meaning, which is more heartfelt in the center of the story. Lucas, I think I'm tapped out on the flick. I don't think I have anything else.
Yeah, there wasn't a ton. There was a couple of things that came up in the movie as I was watching it that I was like, this seems like a plot hole. And then I just didn't care enough.
Exactly.
Because like I said, the stakes are fairly low in this.
And I feel like it's not taking itself too seriously. Like there's a goal with this movie, and like you mentioned earlier, it hits it. And if I think movies like Crime 101 is to be this serious, crime thriller, and that's a lot more difficult to land the plane on.
Right. Crime 101 was trying to be like The Town or The Departed and say, okay, you're not that movie. Like figure out what you are.
Exactly.
And this movie, I think, knew at least what it was. Wasn't overreaching.
Yep. Absolutely. I agree. Okay. Are we ready, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to talk money? That's what we love to chat about. It's a Netflix movie, so that's going to make it tough. But please, Lucas Walker, make the dollars make sense.
Yeah, I think I may have not much to report to you.
I bet
we don't have on IMDb a budget, and we don't have, obviously it's a straight to Netflix movie, so we don't have any box office. See if we can pull anything from our friend ChatGPT on a budget.
I would guess, God, it probably
had to have been low.
10, right around that 10 million, probably, maybe a little bit higher, 12. Throw a couple more to Sally.
Yeah, so let's see. It says based on the cast, the CGI octopus work, and the mid-scale drama production values, which I think nails all of it.
It didn't look like a TV show, right? It didn't look
right.
cheap.
No, right. It was a step up from those shitty movie or shows that my wife watches for sure. ChatGPT estimates the budget roughly in the 25 to 50 million range. That's a pretty big range.
Yeah.
I would guess that we're way on the lower end of that range, more towards 25 than we are 50.
Let's say I was an exec. I want my cap to be like 20 for something like this. And I know all about movies and how much they cost and all that.
Yeah. It's tough. We don't have any confirmed numbers. We don't have any box office, so this is just an incomplete answer.
DNF, did not finish.
Yep.
My brother did this fun thing where he went on to the school's district, and you can request your old transcripts, so he has them from every grade ever. And part of me thinks that would be a really fun thing to do, but part of me is like, don't do that to yourself. Don't.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. So funny story. My sister, who is living in Las Vegas now, the first time we went down to visit them, they had my old report card from one of my old report cards from high school on the refrigerator.
Nice.
Like apparently it was just like in a box of stuff that my dad had saved from some time, and like they found it and put it on the refrigerator because they thought it was funny, which it absolutely was
parent.
Funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was looking through it and I could not believe some of these grades. I got like a D in like my internship or something. I was like, we had to be on a different scale of grading. Like there's no way. I was an awesome intern. Like, and I got like a C in something. I was like, I never got a C in my life. What are these grades? I was an incredible student. What are we doing here?
I never got an A in my life. So, we've all been there.
Yeah, I did save you from failing high school altogether. So
yeah, you and my mother. She had unbelievable note writing skills. Okay, that's not why we're here. We're here to talk movies and beer. So are you ready to talk beer, Lucas?
I am ready to talk beer. I'm not going to introduce you with quite the vigor and enthusiasm that Mr. Keith Fuchs would have, but Lane,
Mhm.
you are our beer expert. You are the man we come to for the answers when it comes to the beer. Take us into the beer corner, Mr. Good.
I would love to, Lucas. We are drinking SeaQuench Ale, which, my God, what a perfect beer for this movie. Our man Marcellus quenches to be in the sea once more. And there's a gosh darn octopus on
There's a
the
friggin'
cover.
octopus wearing a beanie, which it's unfortunate neither of us wore beanies because as bald men we are frequently wearing beanies.
Yeah, it's just tis not the season.
Tis not the season.
This is coming in at 4.9% ABV, so a little bit lighter than those typical light beers. And their goal, obviously, as we'll discuss, is crushability. IBUs are coming in at 10, availability all year round. Originally released 10 years ago in 2016. The style is a session sour, which is nice because that's pretty unique to the podcast. We don't do a lot of sours or sessions, so I'm going to read a little bit. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to read a little bit about this beer here. A thirst-quenching ale with lime. This uniquely refreshing wheat beer is a mashup of a crisp Kolsch and a salty Goes and a tart Berliner Weiss, brewed in sequential order with lime juice, lime peel, black limes. This is Lane talking. I don't know what black lime is. This is back to the website. And sea salt. It's utterly refreshing and bursting with tart citrus. What's it taste like? You may be asking me and the website. With a commitment to quality, our team of talented brewers and sensory experts work diligently to provide a consistent experience that you can count on time and time again. Its appearance is golden yellow. It is hazy, so it is unfiltered, and it's straw colored. Its aroma is spiced citrus aromas of lime, because as I mentioned, they're using a shitload of different limes here. It's amazingly tart. I will agree. It's definitely tart. Refreshingly crisp flavors of lime and the deeper slight of bitter of black lime with a touch of salt on the tongue and a bit of malt sweetness in the finish. The mouthfeel is sweet, clean, and refreshing. One thing I did like that I was kind of going back to as I was drinking it is this quote here from Paste Magazine. Basically, it tastes like a margarita without all the sugar, and it makes me want to go straight to the beach. I kind of like that margarita with no sugar descriptor.
It's not a terrible call. Yeah, it's a good shout.
Yep. So who are you? We'd love to tell you. We are beer geeks with a music problem. We're analog beer for the digital age. We take what we do seriously. Ourselves, not so much. But most importantly, we make off-centered goodness for off-centered people. And there's a whole mess of us that work hard in hand to make it happen. The story started similar to some of the other ones we've heard from these American brewers. Started about the mid to late 90s. This story specifically was June of 95, where they opened up the first state brew pub, or the first brew pub in the state, in Delaware, in Rehoboth Beach, Rehoboth, Rehoboth Beach, dreamed up by co-founders Sam and Maria Calagione. I'm sorry, Sam and Mariah, if I mess that up. Looks like a husband and wife, which is cool. They started out on a very, very small system here. Essentially, they say 3 little kegs with propane burners underneath. We were brewing 12-gallon batches of beer for a whole restaurant. They were brewing 3 times a day, 5 days a week on that system. In 2002, they found this cool, they had a cool, Frankenstill is what they call it, and they actually started going into distilling, where they did gin, rum, and vodka. They have a motel, it looks like, that they opened in 2013, which I think is kind of fun and unique. I think it's near one of their drinking establishments, so you could get all drunk there and then have a hotel room to go crash at. And then in 2019, they were purchased by the Boston Beer Company, included in their portfolio. And once you start hearing words like portfolios and brand of like-minded coworkers, that's when you know that they've been bought, and they're speaking corporate speak at that point. So under the Boston Beer Company, you are finding beers like Sam Adams, Dogfish Head, Twisted Tea, Angry Orchard, Truly, Hard Mountain Dew, Sinless vodka cocktails, and Sun Cruiser. The only one I haven't heard there is that Sinless vodka cocktails. So they must be doing something right over there at the Boston Beer Company. And that is the Beer Corner.
Is this our first Dogfish Head beer, or have we done another?
I think we've done another one before.
I feel like we've done one other, but I don't know. And maybe this is just me, but it seems like when you're first getting into craft beer, which now craft beer like is more popular, right? Like, I don't know, the craft beer name or whatever is a little bit different than it was probably 15-20 years ago. But like, I feel like when I first started drinking beer and then like exploring beers that were in the craft beer world, like Dogfish Head, like the 60-minute IPA or the 90-minute IPA was like viewed as like this gold star, right? This North Star of like what a good IPA was. And I feel like Dogfish Head had this kind of reputation as kind of the premier like craft beer. So I'm kind of surprised that we haven't done more of the Dogfish Head, because I do like their, I don't drink IPAs anymore because they destroy me from the inside out. But I don't know. I feel like they're excellent.
Yeah, and we did do the 90-minute IPA
Okay.
when we did Glass Onion. So this is our second Dogfish Head beer. But I'm curious what you think of it. And also I'll give you your review on the 90-minute IPA after you give me your review of the SeaQuench Ale with lime.
I like, actually, before I answer that, I'm going to take one last swig just so I have it fresh. Just so I know that my review is accurate.
I'm glad that you got like a full cup, because that means I'm probably gonna have to crack open another one just to ride with you there. Swish it around.
That margarita call does really,
it changes your perception.
Changes the game on the review.
Yep,
it's quite good. I didn't expect to enjoy it. It's in that sour realm, which it's not really my jam. Usually lime in an ale, usually you would think lime in like in a Mexican lager. And even that, I'm not usually one to go lime all the time. So I was not expecting to really like it, but it does taste like if a margarita was a beer. And that's not a bad thing at all. The 4.9 alcohol, so it's not anything too crazy. It's not kicking you in the teeth too hard. I'm gonna give it an 8. I think this is a very solid beer. I like it.
Hell yeah, that is awesome. You did give the 90-minute a 9.
Yeah,
but an
that
8,
makes sense.
Yep, that's before you hated IPAs,
right?
For me, the SeaQuench, I echo a lot of the things that you said, Luke. When I get a Corona or Modelo, I don't get a lime in it. I don't particularly get a lot of margaritas. If I do, I get a mango margarita, because that's the good stuff, let me tell you. So this is not a beer for me. That being said, like I mentioned in the beer corner, once I got that, hey, this is kind of like a margarita beer for the beer style, it made a lot of sense. And I do agree that this would be so good, on a beach in some shorts, having some fun in the water. It's a very for the season beer, and I'm aching for that season right now. So overall, I'd say it's a good beer. I give it a 7. Probably not something I'll drink again anytime soon. I've got a few more left, and I'll probably save those for very specific scenarios. But it was a good beer. Not something that I will be going out. But again, I think that's more of a me and my style and my taste. But if you like the sound of a nice light beer with lime, the like margarita beer like we were talking about, I say get out there and give it a gosh darn shot.
Yeah, I'm with all of that.
Lucas, are you ready to play America's favorite game?
I am ready. Let's do
Ladies
it.
and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's play America's favorite game, Rotten Guesses. This is the game where we try and get closest to the critics and the audience score of Rotten Tomatoes, and we see who's closest, and then we ridicule the loser. Lucas, the loser this week is going to be you, so if you could please give me your critics and audience score and why you think they are those numbers.
Yeah, you're probably right. I probably will be the loser. But let's give it a whack. Anyways, I don't know. This could be anywhere. This is a movie that I don't know. I usually try to kind of determine a floor or a ceiling for a movie and then figure out, based on what I think smarty pants movie reviewers would think versus what regular old folks would think. I have no idea. For the critics, the tomato meter, I think we're going to be moderately high, like sort of not bad. I'm going to go 79. I think anybody who watches this movie, I don't know. I like to have a little bit of faith in humanity. I think people are just going to they're going to like this movie. There's not a whole lot to not like about it unless you're trying to be just a nitpicky little, dweeb about it. So nice. I'm just going to go slightly higher, not too much higher. I'm going to go 83. So I'm going to go 79 for the tomato meter, 83 for the popcorn meter.
I love it. Sorry, I'm going to completely switch tracks here just as a fun joke. I heard someone say, "That's so funny, I forgot to laugh." And I was like, man, we need to bring that back.
That should come back for sure.
Yeah. Lucas, I agree with you. I think that there is more for the audience to like in this movie than the critics. We mentioned it, and I think you really put the nail on the head. This is a Hallmark movie, but it's better than a Hallmark movie. But this is a feel-good. It's not trying to be anything too crazy. We want to come in, spend an hour 45 with us. Your heart will flutter a little bit. Your eyes may well up, but that's it. And I think critics go into movies with their dorky fucking glasses, and well, technically Sally Fields, and get a little too much into it. And so I think the audience will like it a little bit more. I'm going to go about an 83 for the audience, and I'm going to go like a 72 for the critics. 83, 72.
So hold on. So you guessed the same audience, 83 as me.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
That sucks. Okay, then I'll go 81.
Okay. And you went 72, I went 79 for the critics. One thing that I was thinking of for why the critics would be lower is that it always seems like critics, when reviewing a movie that is adapted from a book, will always default to the book was bad. It's like, okay, okay, whatever, dude. Okay, I've got the scores here. Are you ready?
I have never been more ready for anything in my whole life.
And again, this is just continuing on a trend of kind of ridiculous scores from Rotten Tomatoes. We've got a critic score, the tomato meter, of only 63 reviews, 83. So quite a bit higher than both of us had gone. Not too much. I went 79, so not terribly higher, but definitely higher. And we're both right that the people like this more than the critics. The people came in with a 90 on the popcorn.
Wow.
Meter. Yeah.
Wow. 8390.
8390, which again, it's like Gladiator, which is the greatest movie that's ever been made. An 80 and an 87. So this movie got
that's crazy.
3 percentage points higher by both critics and audience than Gladiator. And it's just crazy because it's like, do we really think that this movie, Remarkably Bright Creatures, that has a CGI octopus narrating the movie is a better movie than the movie Gladiator. We really gotta. I don't know. There needs to be some sort of a mechanism within Rotten Tomatoes that, like, when somebody rates something, it's like, are you sure?
Yeah, are you drunk?
Right.
Wait, shit, we are drunk.
Right. We are. Maybe
We
other
are,
people
but
should
that's
be as well.
there you go.
Are you drunk? No, you
No,
should be.
then, yeah, have a couple beers and then you can submit your
Right.
review.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'd be curious if we had anyone out there who listens who happens to work for Rotten Tomatoes, because I'd be really interested to see how it all works. I think it's like, hey, I think it's the percentage of people who give the movie positive reviews.
Well,
So,
do you like? We should probably have
figure it out.
Rotten Tomatoes accounts and then
Probably.
start rating movies, because if it's like a thing where you can rate it like I liked it or I didn't, and then it's a percentage of like likes versus didn't likes, or if it's a 1 through 5, or I mean, looking on the critic review thing, just if you scroll down a little bit, you can see critic reviews and it's out of 4 tomatoes or
Nice.
something. So it's like, someone gives it a 2.4 out of 4 tomatoes, or a 3.5 out of 5 tomatoes. Like, I don't know. I don't know what and then it's like, if you scroll down, there's a my rating. What did you think of it? It's out of a 5 stars. So it's a very imperfect science, which I think that we understand that already, because this movie got a 90. So clearly there's an imperfection.
Something is wrong.
Yeah.
Well, Lucas, it's not, people don't listen to an hour and 11 minutes of us talking to hear what Rotten Tomatoes has to say. If it takes them that long to look that up, they are fools. Lucas, they come here to listen to what we think about the movie. So I want to know what you thought about Remarkably Bright Creatures.
Yeah. I thought Remarkably Bright Creatures was a pleasant movie. I think it was pleasant. There was nothing about it that ever was like, I mean, it's an hour 50, so it's right in that range of like, that's the right time. I think any movie that's like less than an hour 45 is barely trying. So you should probably be at least like an hour 45. So it's kind of right in that perfect range. It wasn't trying too hard. It knew what it was. It had some funny stuff. It had some emotional stuff. I think it was well acted, well written, generally just a pleasant and enjoyable movie, but it wasn't anything to write home about. It wasn't super like groundbreaking. There wasn't anything in it that like I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. I would never watch this movie again. It was fine. It was a 7.1.
7.1 for Mr. Lucas. Yeah, I think that we kind of, we've been discussing it for the last hour or so. There are good things about this. This was a pleasant surprise for me. You said the word pleasant when you're describing the movie, and I think that's spot on. This is a movie of a different era where movies could just be a fun, I mean, back then they were probably closer to an hour 15, hour and a half, but fun hour 45 with these fun characters. Or not fun, they're broken characters, but to see them come together, have their moments, is enjoyable and does make you feel good. And it's a movie from a different time, and it's good to see something like this. I think movies have gotten a lot, more darker and depressing and serious, and there's no real space for something like this. I'm marrying some of our friends, and one of the guys was like, "Oh, I'm getting nervous." It's like, "What is this, Runaway Bride?" And it's like, well, they don't make movies like Runaway Bride anymore. They don't make movies like this anymore. So it's the fact that they did it and it was enjoyable. I didn't know what to expect when I saw us talking octopus to start the movie. I was very concerned, but I was thoroughly entertained throughout. I got a little swollen at the end, not in my pants, in my eyes, and it was good. I think I'm going to land right on a 7. I think there were some things that I didn't necessarily love. I thought it could have teetered either way. but I thought the twist of, you know, her being the grandmother, him being the grandson, I didn't see it coming. It was enough to kind of push it over the edge for me personally. 7 out of 10 for Remarkably Bright or Beautiful Creatures.
Yeah. You can't. I can't poke any holes in that. I don't think anybody really can. This movie is. I going back to the rankings and trying to guess, like it did have a fairly high floor,
Mhm.
right? No one's gonna give this like a 3. You'd be a
A
heartless
heartless bastard. Yeah.
lunatic, yeah. Like, but also giving us a 9. It did have a ceiling, and I think that Rotten Tomatoes exceeded that ceiling. But whatever, it's fine. And to your point of like movies like this in an older time would have been an hour 15. It's because then they were on the Hallmark Channel and there was commercials, and it would have been a 2-hour time slot on the channel, but the movie itself is only an hour and an hour 20 or whatever.
Beautiful. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is episode 129 of A Beer in Review. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey, into the ocean, back into the waters, or back
To
into
the
society.
Bottom of the ocean,
There you go. Just like our characters.
finding the bottom
As
of this
they
beer.
go, that's what I'm saying. Nice. That's podcasting. As Marcellus goes to the bottom of the ocean, we go to the bottom of our beer and we say, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next week. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, I got a drink.